this session. Okay, so good afternoon once again. We can start, and meanwhile I will also add people who are joining the session. I will share my screen so that we can. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so we can start. I think it's already 2 minutes has already passed. So as you might know, this session is conducted under the Printle project, that is and under the summer school that is organized within the Printle project. I ask all the participants to mute your microphones unless you are not speaking. The session is devoted to the strategies, how to prevent the academic misconduct in online learning. And by the end of the session, we are going also to demonstrate how to use the same safe exam browsing function that is not very new in the Moodle, but still that is something that we are trying to promote among our academic staff. In order to prevent that cases. So, yeah. So here is information about myself. My name is Giga, and I'm currently working at Ilia State University in Georgia, in Tbilisi. I am the deputy director of the library, and I've been working at this university since 2011. And besides of these administration tasks, I'm also teaching academic at the Center of Academic Writing. And the past 10 years, I'm just involved in the technology in implementation or integration into the education. So this brought me to the Printle project, and the session that we are going to have today is also part of my duty at my home university. So since the pandemic started, I was very much involved in the training sessions that we organized for the faculty members, how to manage the classes during this the emergency remote learning. So that is information about myself, but I want also to mention what is the outcomes of this session today, and very briefly. So today we are going to have a discussion about the forms and types of the cheating that we have experienced during this online or distance classes, and also we will have possibility to think about the principles of how we can integrate the principles of academic integrity into our teaching and learning process in order to enhance the quality. And by the end of the session, as I have mentioned, we will see how to use or how to navigate through the safe exam browsing function that is now available into the Moodle platform. And we will jointly create a quiz and try to use that function. But before we start our session, or I suggest that we start it with a quick activities that I prepared for you, and I ask you to use this Menti. You can use either your smartphones or the same computer that you are using for this meeting. And if you can just open this web page and then type the code there, and you will see the question, and I suggest to start with this kind of interaction. The question here is based on your practice, what type of academic misconduct have you experienced during the emergency remote learning? I mean, since March 2020 when the pandemic started, and here is the code 77190872, and you can.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
May I ask for something? Can
Yes.
you send that link in the chat, please?
Yes.
It will be easier for us to.
Please.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. I can do that. Just a minute. Okay, so now I will send it into the chat as well. So you can directly go there and insert or put the code that is given here. It's 77190872. There should be 3 boxes, so you can insert like three answers, or if you can think about the types and forms of the academic misconduct that you faced during your teaching, or from your experience. So you can either use your smartphones or the same computers that you are using for this Zoom session. And I will refresh it. Okay, so I noticed that it says voting is closed, but I will try to fix it. For some reason, it doesn't work, as it turned out. Okay, but instead of doing this, we can just have a open discussion, not to waste our time. So, because there is some technical issue here that we cannot solve, but instead, I suggest that you comment on what type of academic misconduct you experienced during your studies, and what was the common forms and types, maybe from your practice. So if you can comment on this, yeah, you can use as a chat as well. So.
Gap is closed already. So I write in chat, okay?
Yeah, okay. So as we can see from the chat, so Professor Rugava is commenting that cheating in the test exams and plagiarism, called trunk cheating, that are the types that she noticed, or she met during this period. So objective assessment and also cheating, we've got these answers. Yes, so we have timing issues. It lasts much longer. Cheating using the messenger. So this is something that that brought this new reality also, because the majority of the students are using this different kind of social media and messengers proactively. Yeah, so cheating is the major problem, as we can see. Copying from learning materials, sharing answers with each other. So this is also something that we cannot fully prevent. And yeah, okay, so that great. That's that was the idea of doing this Menti, but unfortunately we cannot do it. But we also got these ideas from you and what you have noticed. And yeah, we can continue. So as you might so I will just refresh this presentation. I don't know, for some reason it stopped. It's working very slowly. So so the main question before we move on to discuss this task is that how was what was the biggest problem once the pandemic started and we all moved to emergency remote learning. At first, if you also might have noticed that the first thing that we that the problem was connected to the delivering of the classes online. So the very first task in each partner higher educational institutions was to how to meet this challenge, how to address this. I mean, how to give classes online, and that was easily solved because the different video conferencing tools were introduced. But as soon as we stepped from this challenge, and the new one came, and that new one was how to assess students and how to assess their learning outcomes. And the biggest question or the challenge that we are currently having was how can we ensure that students are doing assignments by themselves. This is the number one question that we are still having into the academia, and no one can fully guarantee that that students are doing the tasks by themselves when we are doing this online. But it doesn't mean that we cannot solve this problem, or we cannot make sure to minimize the risks. And today we are going to somehow sum up how can we minimize these risks. So I want to start with the definition of academic integrity, because this is number one, how to say, number one rule when it comes to the academic misconduct or the cheating. This description is brought from the glossary that is done by the European Association of Academic Integrity. And as you can see, they define the academic integrity as the compliance with the ethical and professional principles and standards. I mean, that is something that we all we are doing. At least we tried to do it even before the pandemic started, to prevent the cases of plagiarism, and we were oriented to improve or to change the culture of our students, and to teach them from the very beginning to avoid the cheating and plagiarism. But as the pandemic started, and we found out that our students are alone in front of their computers. We cannot be there with them. So this is the time when it will be shown whether they understand or whether they feel the meaning of the academic integrity or not. So this is not an easy task, because, and it's not a problem only in Georgia or only in the countries of East European region, but the I mean, the developed countries as well experienced or faced the same problems. And what are these are the lists, few from the types and the forms of the academic misconduct that you already mentioned as well, and we can quickly go through this list. As you might notice, the biggest problem was and is and still is the plagiarism when student and different types of plagiarism, because this is also a umbrella term, and the different types and forms of plagiarism also exist. But this type of academic misconduct was somehow already taken into account by the higher educational institutions even before this emergency remote learning. The second type is cheating, and also the cheating came into different forms and formats. If during the face-to-face study students were trying to cheat from each other or from the papers, now the forms are transformed into the digital space. Also, on the higher level of the studies, we notice that there are some number of the students who has this problem with the fabrication of the research data, and sometimes they try to change, or they do not really conduct the research, but somehow figure out the numbers and then start discussion based on these numbers. Also, the biggest problem was non-authorized collaboration, and that is somehow related to the quizzes or in major cases to the quizzes, when student asks for help to their classmates or parents, friends, relatives, or whatever, because even if in some programs and in some classes we are using the webcams and ask the students to use their cameras when writing a quiz, this is also it is not easy for professor or for instructor to monitor all the students at the same time. I mean, imagine that you have 20 students in the class, and you have to look into the screen shared by these 20 students, and at the same time try to look at the web at the cameras and screens they have shared. Okay, and one of the most important type was contract cheating, and it is still an issue. I guess that if we talk about the example of Georgia, we also, although we had this problem before this pandemic started, but that was not very active, I would say. But since March 2020, we see these different companies promoting themselves into the social media and asking or offering this kind of help to students so that they can write their essays or exams if the students pay for that. So this is type of misconduct that our European partners have already experienced in the past. So they are more they have more experience with facing this problem, and also we have these false quotations. Sometimes we see this into the essays or theses that our students are writing, that they just bring a reference, or they have quote and the author do not really match this quotation. But as you can see, these are the major types and the forms of an academic misconduct, and this list is the list is even bigger, and we cannot fully accommodate all these types, but I just mentioned few of them that you also experienced during your studies. And I also want to stress out why do students cheat, because sometimes this is in the research that has recently done. So some of the researchers indicate that when student is cheating, it's not only false of it's not the student is has some reasons to do that. And here I just listed some of them. The first one is the fear of failure, because the majority of the students who have these problems, they just they try to explain it in a way that they have this fear of failure in the certain subject, and they try to use this way. So also there is a desire to get better grades. So some of them name this reason when using, for example, contract cheating, and different companies or people whom they are paying for their assignments. Lack of information about the academic integrity in general. This is also an issue. And in the majority of higher education institutions, some of the students say that they do not have enough information about the rules and the principles that are related to academic integrity, and they do not simply know what to do or how to prevent that kind of cases. Also, the content and the form of instruction is a key, I would say, because as some articles pointed out, it is very important to design the instruction of the assignments very clearly, because we need to remember that the students are alone, sitting in front of their computers, and they do not have teachers beside with them, like in the class. And if they have some question, they cannot ask directly. So it's very important to take this into account when designing the assignment or a task during the distance learning. Also, the lack of support services at the university, and in this we mean the academic support services, like someone should be able at the university to explain students how to make the references, how to use different sources, or tasks like this. So and when we speak about the digital services, then if this kind of services existed in the past at the university, then during this emergency remote learning, it should be transformed into digital space. So also the reason might be that the practice of not punishing others, and this is something that we also faced, because if a teacher or instruction do not punish the student who is identified as a cheater or who has a case of cheating, then the others will try to do the same. And also the tools used in online learning. This is also something that might be reason why we have that much cases of academic misconduct. If we ask our students to simply send their essays to our emails, then they will there is much probability that they will try to cheat. And because we do not have that much tools and instruments to detect the content of the original text into the number of the original content into their text when we ask them to send their emails, the essays via email. So these are the general reasons why the students are cheating. But I would like to stress here the types of misconduct that is most common in distance learning. And this also the list is starting with sharing information in social media groups, because they are using all type of social media and all type of messengers or whatever that is accessible to them, and the information is spread very quickly. So immediately, I would say, as soon as one wants to spread the information. Also asking for support to another person that we have already discussed. That might be someone, either a friend, a relative, or even we had cases, or I'm familiar with the cases when students pay for that, say pay to teachers and instructors from different universities to attend the exams or write the exam in different university instead of them, and they pay for this service. Also, they're making screenshots of the questions, and this is common when they have these quizzes in different platforms, maybe in learning management system or any other platform. What they are doing is that they, even before they start doing the quiz, they just make the screenshot of their desktop and then spread this into the chat, or and they try to get the correct answers. And it's a very it's a kind of issue or a problem if the instructor is using the question banks, because it might if the teacher doesn't update the question banks, then it might happen that all the questions are also already known to the students. Also, the control cheating that we have covered that much, and finally what we have noticed is the trying to avoid similarity detection in writing assignment. Although some universities, or I would say the majority of the universities currently are using the text matching systems, and they are implemented in the classes, but still students are trying to avoid, and there are different user guides for students how to avoid plagiarism when they have to upload this into different systems. So this is something that our students already know, and we have to face this reality, and these are the types of the misconduct that we've seen in this period. But now I do not want to overraise the time, and I do not want to this session to be the kind of my talk, but I want to offer you or ask you to now we can make an activity into a small groups. I will use, or we can use these breakout rooms. Let me check. So we are 20 participants, and we can have 5 rooms with 4 participants in each small group, and we will have 10 minutes for this discussion in a small groups, and then one speaker from each group. If you can very shortly summarize by 2 or 3 sentences what was discussed in this small group. So the task is that, imagine that you are a teacher, and there is no need to imagine this, but you have a class with 30 or 40 students, and you want to design the assessment activity. And the question would be, or the question for discussion, what type of assignment would you use? It might, although it depends on the task, so it can be a writing assignment, an oral presentation, or a quiz. And the main question is, how will you guarantee that the principles of academic integrity are being met? So how do you minimize the risk of cheating in this activity. So if the task is clear, then let me use this function of breakout rooms. And we have 12 minutes for this activity in a small groups. Okay, so now let me just, so we have 5 breakout rooms, and it will randomly choose the participants from this. So now you can see this announcement into your screen, and you can join the breakout rooms. So we still have participants who didn't join the breakout rooms. Hello. So
მოგესალმებით, რაღაცა პრობლემა არის, არავინ პასუხს არ უწევს.
we ამ ჯგუფში არ არის არავინ?
ნუ როგორც ჩანს, იმიტომ რომ ხმას არ იღებენ. აი, ვიწერება Natalia is saying that she can hear us, but she cannot unmute her microphone.
Okay, then if you can use the chat for this discussion.
Not very easy.
Let me just check if I can move on into different groups so that you have more participants there.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Okay, let me just okay, I will put you in the room 3. Okay, so now we're back in the main room. I hope that you had time for a short discussion.
It was really short discussions.
Yeah, it was really
Very short.
Okay.
sorry for that, but I get the chat notification that in some group there was not people participants. I mean, so for this reason, I thought that maybe it's better if we share our thoughts in this group in the main session room. So what can you speak about what was discussed in these small groups, or if you were able to discuss something at least? So what?
Okay, I can start if it is possible. So we were three in our group. Nino from Georgian Technical University, yes, Nino, and Irina from I don't remember the university, honestly. So sorry, Irina. Well, we were in a little bit difficult situation because different contexts. Well, Nino represented law, the subject of law, and the choice was on the oral presentation because they have cases in the final exams. As for Irina, this is mathematics, and these are, well, purely tests, but we managed to come to a very important and I think interesting conclusion to all this. In order to minimize the possibility of students to cheat, like, let me just first refer to Nino's case when they are doing oral presentation, and this is the only possibility to assess students in a final exam or maybe midterm. Nino takes into consideration their progress throughout the semester, how well they have been doing throughout the semester, and this influences the final results because, well, the presentations are group presentations. There are 3 or 4 students doing the presentation. That's why it's very difficult to ensure the, well, maximum, let's say, equality of their answers or whatever they do. So, well, I think this is a good point, and we agreed that this could work. In case of Irina, when we have math, and this is purely test-based exam, the way out, and this works, definitely works, is to have multiple versions of the test, and Irina makes different options, and this is, of course, this minimizes the possibility of students to share. Well, and it actually does not include the need to share. If we know that we have different versions, so why should I bother to share my version and my solution with somebody else? And the second is limiting time. So the more we limit the time, or it should be, of course, reasonable time limit, that it is absolutely possible within this time frame to complete the task. And not give try not to be very liberal and give them time to relax and maybe just think of different other things. So proctored exams, or actually the exams, test exams, are very much, could be very much limited in time, because this is yes or no, this way or that way, and this can work. So these were our 3 I don't know, tips or maybe ways out. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing this. Maybe any other group who would like to share their discussion, or they sum up what was discussed in a small group. Okay, so if no one would like to share, then we can get back to the tasks that we are discussing together. And actually, what you named, or what you have just mentioned, these are the way out from this challenge, I would say, because they're not, as I have mentioned in the very beginning, there is no any tool that can fully guarantee that the students are doing the exams by themselves, but there are also there are some tips that can minimize the risk. And if this is a scenario, if we are using the learning management system, and the majority of the universities are currently being using these systems, either the Moodle or Blackboard or Google Classroom or whatever. Some of them are paid, some of them are free for the universities. So the number one is the number of the questions into the question banks, and Professor Rogava has just mentioned this, because this will guarantee that students will get different questions, and the more the number of the high the number of the questions are into the question bank, the better is for the exam. Also, I would like to stress out here that you might use different types and forms of question, and not only, for example, the multiple choice. As you can already know, into the learning management system, it has a function of creating more than 15 different types of questions. Some of them are multiple choice, some of them are with short answers, matching true and false, and many others. So short, just even some essays with a paragraph, with a short paragraph. And you can use different types of the questions when creating a quiz. And also, this is also something that I have noticed, that in some cases, students are just directly copying the text into the question and pasting somewhere else, so either into the chat or into the internet, to get the answers easily. But if you can upload the image instead of giving them a test, instead, when creating a question, instead of typing their text, you can upload a photo, the image, and from this image they cannot copy directly. So although they can type by hand or manually this text, but this also is something that affects this issue. And the time limit that was also discussed, there is, we shouldn't have space we shouldn't give more time that is required for this quiz. And also the navigation into the quiz, that is something that helps a lot. For example, into the Moodle or into the Google Classroom, there is a function that how these questions should appear, whether the students should see the whole test or whole quiz, or they can see the question by question. And even in this type of transaction or transmission, they have there is a function that they cannot get back to the question. So it helps a lot. We've used it at our university in the big classes. I mean, classes with students more than 500, and that was really an asset, I would say, in this kind of quizzes. And also to cover all the students at the same time, if you have big groups, do not divide them. So if you have 100 students, let them write the exam at the same time, because once we divide them into the small groups, even if they have different types of the questions, still there is a risk that those who have already written, then they will try to help those who has an exam, and etc. So every guideline or says that this is something that we need to take into account and try to cover all the students at the same time. Also, the same exam browsing function, which we are going to demonstrate shortly, and I will speak about it very briefly. One of the major factor is the text similarity detection software that the universities are subscribed to. But if you're teaching or working at the institutions that do not have this license, this is not a big. Still, there is a chance that to detect the number of the unoriginal text into the student's paper. You can use different tools which are free. If you just Google how to check the plagiarism online free, you will find lots of tools where you can paste the text and then it starts searching and gives you a report. And also usage of synchronous video conferencing tools with screen sharing option. And we've used this at our university. I remember that one of the instructor asked us and had this approach that he had 10 students in the class, and in addition to writing the quiz, he asked the students to share the screen. There is a possibility into the Zoom to share the screen simultaneously. I mean, 10 students can share their screens at the same time. And then the instructor went through all this shared screen and was checking this. And this was some more administrative side, but yes, you have a question.
Yes, I have a question regarding the tool which allows us to make such quiz, for instance, that students can go back to the previous question. I used Kahoot, for instance, to do something like that, which prevents getting back to the previous question. But I have experienced a serious problem. I received a lot of complaints from the students that their internet was lagging, whatever technical issues were there, and they, some of them, they even complained to the administration that I'm using such tool which doesn't allow them to express their knowledge properly. So maybe somebody else had a similar experience, and what was the solution in this case? Yeah, I have the question to you and to the group as well.
Yeah, thank you for raising this issue. I also remember that when there was an exam done in this way, lots of students were complaining, but then the position of from the teacher or from the administration of the university was that all these rules are given or explained to the students well in advance, so that they know how the exam will take place. So yeah, they know that they cannot get back to the questions, and they know how it goes. But still, there was lots of emails and letters addressed to the administration that this is against their rights. But that was in the beginning. I would say I don't remember then the others, the rest of the process went well. So I don't know if any other colleague from different institution have any experience related to this issue. So if someone has some similar challenges, then you can share as well. But these were the more technical issues, I would say. But also there is a advices or something that the administration or the teachers have to take into account when it comes to cheating and plagiarism. First of all, it's to inform the students. So it doesn't matter if we are working at the administration positions or if we are teaching, if we are working on the academic position, we still need to inform students. We need to explain them that we are familiar with these ways and types of academic misconduct, and we are doing our best to minimize the risks. So this is something that helps. We also have to agree on the netiquette in advance so that students know what they can do.
Yeah, I would not agree that it's an efficient way, because I usually do give instructions before the assessment. Yeah, how we are going to do it, how this works, and so on and so on. I even have some prior tests simply to make students used to a particular platform, for instance. But it does not help me to avoid their complaint still. And as I said, they use this complaint and emphasize that it's due to the lagging, for instance, or it's due to some technical issue. It's not because they lack some knowledge or whatever. Yeah. Okay, I have another question. We might come to this issue later on. So if you're going to cover this, just tell me and I'll stop asking. Is there any tool that would allow us to create different combinations of the questions for particular students from the question bank that we provide? Because even if I make several versions of the questions, yeah, still in the big groups, there will be 4 or 5 students that will get the similar questions. And trust me, even if I limit time and I have this experience, they manage to find out which version has who, and they still get in touch with each other. Yeah. So is there any tool that would give me the possibility that I can upload some questions in amount of questions, and then that tool will create different versions during the exam, and these combinations are gonna be different for each particular student. Then nobody will try to contact somebody else because they will know that combination is gonna be different. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Eka. So I just, what comes into my mind is this Moodle quiz that you can use, but in this case, you have to have the big number of the questions into the question bank, and then it works in a way that randomly picks up questions, but in this way, there is still a chance that some student might get the same questions. So it does not fully guarantee that the questions wouldn't be the same. But also it depends on the number of the students you have in your class and the number of the questions you create. If you would like for your quiz that students have absolutely like different questions, then you have to create the quizzes individually. So for them, which is very time consuming. And if you have 20 students, then you have to create the 20 different quizzes. So in this regard, I would advise you to create this into the question bank. Try to have a big number of the big number of the questions, and then the system will automatically make it random, and it randomizes the answers as well. So the number of the answers within the questions as well. But I noticed that the time is running out, so I just want to demonstrate the usage of the safe exam browsing very quickly. And this is something that I have already mentioned, that is, and for this reason, I stop presenting this presentation and I quickly move on to the learning management system that we are using at our university. We are using this Moodle platform, and if you are also have the same system, you can log in into your system, and then I will try to quickly demonstrate how it works. So in the quiz, when you are into the certain course, when you are creating a quiz, I would not speak much about this, because I'm pretty sure that everyone knows how to create the quiz. You are just going to the course, add an activity or resource, and then find this quiz. And these are the settings. Let me just convert it into English. These are the settings of the quiz that we want to create, and I just give a name, for example, the exam. And then here we have timing, grading, and many other functions. But what is the most important here is the safe exam browsing. This function in previous years, I mean, before the 2021, it was not working. But after 2021, this function is added by default into the Moodle. So there is no need to install any plugin or whatever. every Moodle that is updated, it should have it here. So, and what does this function do? So here you have the same exam browsing function. You can, by default, it's given no, but you can change it yes to yes and configure it manually. And what it does, so imagine when the student is starting to do the quiz, when he clicks on the start button, the screen is freezed and only the quiz is open, and he or she cannot do anything except that click on the answers and submit the quiz. And after he or she submits it, then the screen is not frozen, and then he can use different browsers and even opening the files and etc. So once again, it is not the tool that fully guarantees that we conduct this, but at the same time, students might have their smartphones to use them. But still, this is something that that might be used in different classes. The only exception is that we have to ask our students to download this program in advance of when the quiz is starting. So if you just Google Safe Exam Browser, then it comes out the download, the file that should be downloaded and installed into their computers. And once they have it, and after we create this quiz, we can activate, as I have mentioned, so we can activate here Safe Exam Browser and require use of Safe Exam Browser, and we can choose yes, configure manually. It means that we can configure these settings manually, and we also can use upload my own configuration or use set client configuration. And the difference between that is that we have to prepare this configuration in advance and then upload here, which is not a must. So I will advise you to first use this configure manually, and you do not have to change anything that is given here. You can leave it as it is, and then you can save and return to course. I created one quiz with using this functionality, and I will log in as a student, and I will show you how it looks like when the student will log in into the system. So as you can see, here is the quiz that is created with using that function. And once the student clicks on the quiz, it shows that it says that the quiz has to be taken into same exam browser. So it means that student won't be able to, once he starts the quiz, he won't be able to okay, so let me just check it here. He won't be able to click in any other function. I will just quickly make it, change it here. So I've already tried once, so it won't let me try. So yeah, this here. Yeah, unfortunately, I cannot show it now because once the Safe Exam Browser is opening, then the screen is freezing and you cannot see it. It works in this way. But yeah, I will share you this information via email as well, so that you have this link from where you can download and install. It's very easy, just it works like any other program that you can install into your computer. And as I have mentioned, it works in this way. So once you create the quiz, you have to activate this function into the quiz setting. And then when the student opens the quiz, it says that the quiz is done into the same with using of Safe Exam Browser. And when the student clicks on the start, then the whole screen is freezed and only the exam is shown, so that once students fill all these questions and submit the quiz, then the screen is unfreezed and he or she can navigate into their computers. So I know that we are 7 minutes delay, so we over wasted the time. And now I want to get back to you, and if you have any other questions or anything that you would like to clarify, so we can still use 3 or 4 minutes if you have any questions or comments what we have discussed today. I hope that it was not too tiring, and I will send you, by the end of the day, I will send you the link of the questionnaire, which I would like you to fill. And this is required by the project coordinator in order to get feedback about this session. So any comments, any other issue that you want to discuss? Okay, so then if there is no any question, then we can finish for today. I would like to thank you once again for your time and joining this session. I'm very sorry that we had some technical problems in the beginning and it didn't work, but this happens a lot, so we cannot guarantee that 100%. So thank you once again. I saw that chat messages here, and enjoy the rest of your days and wish you success in the coming term.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Very nice presentation.
Bye.